So I'm just making this video to kind of say what I've learnt just through the things that I've done. So I've been doing this RSPCA thing, and you can tell I'm not comfortable sitting out here talking on a video and stuff like that. But yeah, I was doing this RSPCA thing, and I've learned a lot about, I guess, behaviour of dogs and animals, and just, I don't know, certain things. I think it's like interesting. So, for example, a lot of behaviour that dogs and cats might show will sort of generally mistake, because we're reading it in sort of like a human way, like as though we were looking at another human. But a lot of the behaviour is actually displacement behaviour, and one of the things that I can immediately attribute is, as part of displacement behaviour that I have, is that sometimes I'll look at somebody on my left in my car, and I'll immediately look to some, like on the right. It's almost like a balancing thing, but it's a displacement because, like, I feel uncomfortable because I've directly looked at someone, and then it's like I'm equalising it by looking to the right, almost like trying to display that I'm just looking around, when I'm actually not. I'm actually just trying to look at that person, but like that's a very direct way of doing it. So, you know, like that's a displacement behaviour. What else? There's a lot of displacement behaviours that happen, and I think, and this leads on to another topic, I think that we kind of have judgments on them, as though, you know, that like a person should be ashamed or guilty, or that they mean something more than what they do. So, for example, some people display displacement behaviours, and, you know, like you might have criticism on that type of behaviour as though it's weak, or it's showing, I don't know, vulnerability in like a bad way, like, you know, your weak vulnerability or something like that, or showing that you're nervous or anxious, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of shit, because in general, like, there's almost like a teaching it's almost like saying, like, anything that's just give me a sec, I'm just moving this. Anything that's, you know, nervous, anxious, that's showing any sort of like submissiveness, but not in like a, you know, deep sense. I'm not meaning it sexually, I'm not meaning it anything like that, but just anything that's submissive, that's not this outwardly aggressive or dominant or strong behavior. It just makes you weak, you know. It's just, yeah. So obviously not everyone gets that coding, that programming, that sort of like teaching. The other thing too is that behavioral reinforcement generally comes from a positive positive reinforcement rather than negative reinforcement. I think with training dogs, they don't completely understand why certain things happen. So even if they're positively reinforced, it's not that they know, this is what I'm doing. They just know that generally something on a lower level might produce a result, which is all good, but obviously that behaviour could change if certain circumstances change the way it was done or something. But to take away is that, what was it to take away? That people aren't generally motivated, well, they're not motivated by negative, like, reinforcement. So, like, negative reinforcement is like I guess it's to create fear and stuff like that. It's to stop you doing something, which is fine, depending on what the situation is. But, like, if you want to make someone do something, if you want someone to do something rather than to avoid something, you shouldn't negatively punishing them when they do not do what you want to do. That's not teaching good behavior. So that's an interesting thing. The other thing too is that obviously reading the RSPCA, like, information, they get a lot of animals in there that have been abused and treated poorly. So, you know, they have trust issues and stuff, which is interesting. How was I going to relate that? If someone has a trauma, or they've got a negative association for something, then what's going to happen is that they're not going, well, obviously this is pretty like 101, but like they're not going to want to pursue that thing or seek anything with that thing. They're going to avoid that thing, you know, because they see that there's a high chance of negative results or something very bad could happen, you know. Like, it may not be a high chance, it's just the whole like frequency, intensity, that type of thing, when you're weighing up, say, like a risk analysis and that kind of thing. But yeah, I guess the point is if there is something that is meant to provide something that's good to you in life, like it's something that generally fulfills one of your needs, and you've got a negative association for that, that will obviously cause a deprivation or like increased, you know, sort of it's just harder for you to fulfill that need. Obviously that's like, that would fall into the realms of trauma and stuff, and that's like a very sort of specific thing, you know, everyone goes through things. But I suppose what I'm thinking is that part of being able to pursue the behavior that you feel threatened by pursuing because you're fearing a negative result is to be able to sort of teach, but not teach like so much just like trying to tell yourself, or, you know, like neurotically trying to, you know, change the way things are, but like essentially when you're doing things, trying to ease into doing something that you're uncomfortable doing, try to make it comfortable, and likely that, I guess, you know, you're going to reach some sort of positive result. And I think a lot of that with self-esteem and stuff like that comes from, you know, handling what happens after the fact of what you're doing, which is like you know, like obviously you might have negative self-talk and all that kind of stuff, and it's just to, you know, think about how you're analyzing the situation after it. Like, you know, are you automatically, you know, putting everything down as, you know, being shit or a threat or this or that, or are you, you know, going to sort of try and reprocess things and, you know, like give an opportunity to see from benefit of the doubt and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff actually. Like, really respect the RSPCA for the stuff that they've got on their website, because it's really informative and straight to the point. So yeah, that's pretty much it.